The Boolah's last stand, or as we'll go over in this video, Bitcoin's worst day, or at least most likely to be worst day, as we go over the major inflection points for Bitcoin that, if met on today's daily closing basis, would indicate that Bitcoin is ready for a deeper correction, or if it's ready for some abundance to the upside, let's say, with price targets deep into the $70,000 territory, probably within this next few weeks into June. Anyways, before we get into that, I should let you once again know that we do have a sale going on for 20% off of all of the programs and services in the links in the description below with the code abundance in all capitals. You can actually even get the Krown VMP indicator for free for 1 month with that same code. Anyways, without further ado, let's jump right into this one, starting off with, wait, that was just my pre-stream rituals. Maybe we'll address that a little bit later. But first things first, I do want to get over to the daily statistics, which I did make a quick post on Twitter about, but on this video, I want to kind of expand upon. So I am only measuring the daily closures starting from this year at the beginning of 2024. And what we can actually see is that Tuesday, weirdly enough, is the most likely to close negatively from open to close by a large margin, I should add as well, with almost 62% of all Tuesdays closing negatively, again, just from the start of 2024. When we've done these measurements in the past, it's usually Thursday that's actually the most negative day. But for whatever reason, in this particular measurement, we see that Tuesday has actually been a very nasty day. And if you recall back to our daily analysis where we're just looking at, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Tuesday was the day where Bitcoin would typically play out the reversal, meaning that Monday made the high of the week, and then Tuesday, had the continuation below that high, essentially. So as of right now, we actually see exactly that. I mean, Monday has obviously made the high, means we've only had one day this week, really. But Tuesday, thus far, is trading below, well below, where we closed up on Monday. So with that in mind, I do want to look at the percentage of average gains versus average losses for Tuesdays. Tuesday is not just the most likely to close negatively, but also has the greatest negative return on average at losing an average of 3% for all of these Tuesdays in 2024. And on the ones that did close positively, did gain an average of almost 1.5%. So that is actually on the lower end. In fact, it's the lowest weekday positive gain that we do see for Bitcoin. So to put that into perspective, if we were to see a move to the upside, 1.5% from the open would put Bitcoin basically around yesterday's high. So likely a range high for today. Actually, I would be a little bit surprised we even saw above $70,000 today, but fair enough. To the downside from that open, 3% off current price action puts Bitcoin pretty much around the current low. So just like yesterday when we referenced these statistics and we kind of come up with these ranges, Bitcoin tested the top side of that average range. In today's price action, it looks like we're testing the bottom side average of that range as well. So that's why it's really, really important to actually understand and know these things, especially for like a low-term time frame scalper, intraday type of trader. That can be quite useful to base a strategy upon. So that would be very likely the range for today. And as we'll go over a little bit later, that today is a very particular, it's actually a very, very important day, despite being really boring and really fucking quiet. It is likely going to give us the indication whether Bitcoin is ready to break down or not. I shouldn't say breakout or breakdown. Anyways, moving on from there, we should get into this chart. This is the daily HPDR indicator. Sorry, let's actually go. Well, the 2 days fine in this case. We can actually see this one summarized incredibly well. Look, if you're bullish on Bitcoin and you are not looking for a deeper correction, probably into 63 or 64,000 bucks. This would be the extent of the downside move that we would expect for this week. We have already seen a test to the median, which was in the mid $67,000 territory. And as long as Bitcoin remains above that, yes, the Boolahs still have some hopium in their favor. That does suggest, or relatively likely, that Bitcoin is going to actually put in a nice leg up into the deep $70,000 territory over the next few weeks. If Bitcoin starts to trade and close below, let's call it 67,400, at that point, if we see especially daily closures below there, very, very likely we do see Bitcoin, come down at least to like 64,000 bucks. Bounces along the way, of course, but that is going to nullify or at least massively decrease the likelihood of some of our more short-term setups that we were looking at over the past week that do suggest that upside is more likely. So I want to contrast that with this chart right over here, which is the 12-hour time frame setup that we looked at or identified on Saturday. That one so far is still obviously active. And, oh, there's my little code around there, but we'll get to that a little bit later. And this one, again, is a pretty simple setup. Just basically anytime that VMP gets below 10 percentile plus an uptrend on the 12-hour time frame and an uptrend on the 3-day time frame, well, it indicates an entry, and this one fired off, on Saturday. So the loss condition for this one would be if Bitcoin comes down and trades even a cent below 63,604. If that happens, okay, we have a loss here, but until that happens, upside slightly more likely. We do see that the percent profitable or hit rate, you might say, is just under 55%. And again, because this one does manage risk quite well, you can see that over time, that equity curve continues to grow up and to the right. And this is tested over the full history of Bitcoin as well. So we have some good data in there. Anyways, we do expect this to take about a week from that entry. So that was on Saturday. We have another like 5 days until Saturday comes around again. Again, these are averages, of course, but when we dig into the data, we would be expecting that move to likely start sooner rather than later if this one is going to play out with an average winning trade of just under 15% and an average losing trade of about 8%. So, we're more likely to see one of those sides hit basically before the end of the week than not. Of course, we already know the downside of this one. If it does play out, that would be 63,600. So there's, theoretically like a 46% probability of that happening. And to the upside, that would imply somewhere around 80,000 bucks, basically 79 to 80,000 bucks. And of course, what I would say about this is that the upside is going to be probabilistically speaking, more likely as long as this condition is met right here. So this is the very, very important balancing point for today. Problem is, Tuesday is most likely day to close negatively. And as of right now, closing right around here would not make me feel very confident in upside. So as we do kind of peruse around to the different timeframes, we can see that, again, daily over here for CME bouncing off the same exact point. In fact, this one's probably a little bit more precise, 67,600 for CME. So if you're using spot price action, 67,400 would be the major area to be aware of. If you're using CME, 67,600, let's call it. And if you do see Bitcoin start to lose that, get ready for, moves down extremely likely towards 64 to 65,000 bucks. Maybe not necessarily in the same day, but over time. Until that condition, however, is violated, upside still more likely. And as of right now, Bitcoin is above that number, but we got 14 hours, 34 minutes, and 56 seconds left to go in the day. It's going to be a long one. It's going to be a very, very long one. So I think that's probably where I'm actually going to end the video for today. I guess we can just quickly talk about stochastic momentum. It's not super relevant for today. It's going to be relevant for tomorrow as we get another closure. But for right now, the balancing point there, just below 66,000 bucks. I'm very curious to see where the pivot comes in after tomorrow night's closure. If that moves up significantly, maybe another cause for concern, but as long as Bitcoin's above it, again, upside still more likely, and theoretically this current Tuesday downside move should be an opportunity, but we really would not expect to see much lower than where we're currently at, especially on a daily closing basis if that is going to hold true. What else do we have? 2-day time frame actually going to be crossing down as long as Bitcoin's below 70,600, so not as nice right there. Daily time frame is also down below 69,450. More corrective than anything is the way that I kind of look at the daily, but it does a little bit concern me on the 2-day that we do see, or do we see? No, we do not see actually, sorry. So perhaps I take that point away. Maybe it was the daily over here on CME. Yeah, it was the daily over here on CME. We do see a bit of a trendline regression kind of guarding against the last few highs going back to February, which was, where was this? This was a local top right here. Let me actually get rid of all of these because it's a little bit annoying. This was preceding the local top right here before a month-long correction. Then it was connected with this area right here, which was the current all-time highs. And, well, get another one right here. Okay. How long do we correct? Always makes you wonder, but as long as Bitcoin's kind of living below that, do have to be a little bit more on the defensive, actually, at least in the way that I look at things. Of course, you are free to do whatever the fuck you want to do, but corrective at least for right now. And again, the big balancing point, 67,600 below there on a daily closing basis, especially for CME. I think the likelihood of this playing out over here before a downside move is massively reduced. And just, I know that you're not like, this is not the way that you're supposed to think of statistics, but you tell me, when you have a hit rate, in this case of just under 55%, and the last, whoops, let me get rid of it right here. And the last 1, 2, 3 trades were winners, decent winners right there as well before the last like actual loss. How would you interpret that? Is that a little bit more like what's the likelihood on a 55? What's the likelihood of flipping a coin 4 times and getting heads every time? I'll put it that way. Anyways, that's probably a good place for me to be leaving off. I do want to give one quick notice again to the sale going on right here. I'll actually post a video later today on a trading strategy that you can use. Of course, it's compatible with our tools, the Krown Quant Automation, which is the tool that you're seeing right here that allows you to basically back test automatically any sort of strategy that you are really considering on TradingView with any sort of indicators that you have access to on TradingView as well. And then you can actually even automate that strategy too if you so desire. I'll put out a video a little bit later going over a strategy with that and then explaining a little bit more in detail right there. But just, another quick reminder. And yeah, with that said, we'll be shutting things off for today. I expect that tomorrow we're going to have clarity on the situation and we'll go from there. So with all of that said, I want to wish you the best. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully tomorrow.